Hello, everyone. This is Grace. It is July 16th, 2019, and we are working on part two of our interpretation of Daniel 9:24 through 27. Now, I just offered, for your consideration that the traditional view of these verses is just incorrect. Let's look at a view that fits a little bit better. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the command to restore and build Jerusalem unto Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks, and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times. So, first, I do want to point out that this is 2 princes, or 2 kings, 2 anointed. The first one comes after 7 weeks, or 7 years. And then the second one comes 62 years later, or on the 69th week. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times. So you have from the going forth of the command to build Jerusalem. That's our starting point. That's not the first year, though. The first year is when the people of God get involved. That's 7 weeks later. And then on the 69th week, that would be the 62nd week. Okay, so we have our start date and the time that these 2 kings are going to come. We're just saying kings for clarification, for communication purposes. Then after the 62 weeks, after 62 weeks, shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. Okay, well, there's only one king around at this time. There's only one king, one prince around, the one that came at the 7 weeks. He gets cut off at the 62-week mark. So after 62 weeks shall the anointed be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. Well, what prince? Well, the one that's coming after the 62 weeks, of course. This one is off the scene, and then the one that's to come is going to come on the scene shortly after this one. We know within a year, because they both come and go at the 62-year mark. So, let's read it again. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the command to restore and build Jerusalem unto the anointed one shall be 7 weeks, and an additional 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troubled times. And after the 62 weeks shall the anointed be cut off, but not for himself. But the people of the prince and the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. So he's describing a flood as a war. Okay. So the characteristics of the first one he didn't give very much about. But the characteristics of the second one, we know that they're going to destroy the city and the sanctuary. So let's continue. Now this is the one where weak was not in masculine form. So trust me, I try very hard to be consistent. I tried to find a definition where this week would be a year. I could not do it. I simply could not. It wouldn't work for me. So this is 7 years. So we'll continue. This is 7 years if you follow the day equals a year formula. And that's what I did for my interpretation. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation. And that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. Okay, let's put on our thinking hats here. And let's just reason together. The only he that made a covenant with anyone is Yahweh. So he's the only one that can confirm a covenant. So we have the he. So he is going to confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he's going to cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. Keep in mind, Yahweh takes credit for the good and the bad. He doesn't just say, oh, give me all the praises for the good. He says, look, I'm God. The bad has to go through me first. I can, you know, so he takes credit for the good and the bad. And he says in Daniel 8, we will see, because of the transgressions of the people, he is going to allow the sacrifice and the oblation to cease and a different host to be put in place of Yahushua. But we're going to go and take a look at that in just a moment. So he's going to confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. In the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. One of the things you want to understand, that midst just means part of. It does not mean that it has to be exactly in the middle. Let's just take a look. We'll search the Old Testament, because I know of a good one in Ezekiel, where I know in Ezekiel it's all of them really. Midst doesn't really mean middle or half. It can be used as half, actually. That's true. But it just means part of. It's a part of. Okay, we're going to get to Ezekiel in just a moment. I was trying to study Lamentations for this study, but I did not. Here we go. Thou shalt burn with fire a third part in the midst of the city, when the days of the siege are fulfilled. So in the part of the middle of the city, within the city. It didn't have to be right in the middle. It didn't have to be right in half of the city. And thou shalt take the third part and smite about it with a knife. Then take of them again and cast them into the midst of the fire, within the fire. It didn't really matter if it was right in the middle or not. Do you see what I'm saying? Midst just means it's a part of that. A part of that set. So it does not have to be perfectly in half. So sometime within that week, he caused the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation. And that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. So we know about this second beast. We know about this second king a lot. We know during this week, the sacrifice and the oblation shall cease. He's going to make it desolate, the church desolate, until the consummation. And then that determined is going to be poured upon the desolate. That sounds like the vials to me. Let's take a look at the prophecy that they're speaking of in Daniel 8. So we can just go to the very end, because we know we can go to the very last beast, because we know that this is the last beast before the consummation. There's no one. I keep saying beast, king, beast, prince, what have you. So we're just going to jump there. And here we found where the daily sacrifice is taken away. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. So this is the last king that is spoken of in Daniel 9:27. Well, all of the verses really, but that was described in 9:27. Okay, so let's take a look at the definition here. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the host and the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. And a host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced, and it prospered. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto the certain saint which spake, How long should be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice, and the transgressions of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot? And he said unto me, Unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. And it came to pass, when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision, and saw for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, Understand, O son of man, for the time of the end for at the time of the end shall be the vision. Now as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright, And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. Now, we already knew this was the last end of the indignation, didn't we? Because this king is the king that brings in the consummation. So it has to be the last end. The last end was not 2,000 something years ago. It simply was not. This is a future. This is a future king and a future prophecy. But we're going to read the explanation that he gives. For the time appointed, the end shall be. The ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings Media and Persia. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nations, but not in his power. In the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to a full, a king of fierce countenance, so now we're speaking of the last king, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And through his policy also shall he cause craft. He shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but it shall be broken without hand. And the vision of the evening and the morning which was told is true. Therefore shut up thou the vision, for it shall be for many days. So he just gave an even fuller description of last day events for this king. Now, it is worth pointing out that he, when he spoke of, no, never mind. Let's just go ahead and take a look at this beast in Revelation. We're going to go to Revelation 7. Daniel 7. We're going to go to Daniel 7 before we go to Revelation. Now, these beasts are also last day. These are last day beasts as well. The way that we can know that is when we look, let's read the first two verses. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. When he wrote the dream, then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heavens drove upon the great sea. Now these winds, which Sister White calls the winds of strife, are also pictured in Revelation chapter 7. Let's take a look at what's going on there. And after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor the sea, nor any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. So, the Revelation tells us, Revelation 7, these are the same four winds. It's telling us that these winds cannot be blowing until after the 144,000 have been sealed. So we know that all of these creatures here, all of these creatures in Daniel 7 come after the 144,000, which is sometime during the wrath of the Lamb, the trumpets, sometime during the trumpets. Okay, so we're not gonna go into all of these. We're just going to look at the last one here. I do think it's important that never mind. I don't want to get sidetracked. Okay, I'm trying to stay focused here. I do want to point out one thing. When you see the word night, and they give that as a time, then they're talking about probation. This was by night, so it's near the close of probation. And then here, it's in the night vision. These are the last. This is it. This is in the night vision. This is the close of the probation. So during the close of probation, all of this is happening. That's a prophetic term. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and its wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. 1,000,000 ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. I beheld, which is the judgment scene. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. And concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. Let me figure out what I wanted to read here. And I came near unto one of them, and stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made me know the interpretation of the thing. These great beasts which are 4 kings which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and possess the kingdom forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And the 10 horns which were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn which had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. Oh, here we are. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and the judgment was given to the saints of Most High. Okay, so I just wanted to show that this was the reigning king until the end of days, until the consummation. And also, and the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10. We can skip this part. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a times, and a dividing of times. And it will tell you, well, we'll move on. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, and consume and destroy it unto the end. Okay, so we are at the